Hello and welcome to The Sound Spirit. I am your host, Kate Faust, where we talk about all things music, spirituality, seeking, visioning, all that good stuff. I am a musician, singer, songwriter, and teacher at thesoundspirit.com. If you're curious about classes or membership, take a look there. If you're enjoying the videos I've been creating, please remember to like and subscribe. Share these videos with anybody that you think would enjoy them or find them supportive on their path at this time. Today, I want to talk about sort of a blend of a few topics. So we're going to talk about astrology and archetypes, two things that I use to understand and better decipher the energies of my own, as they say in The Alchemist, my own personal legend. And I've taught classes about this before. I've taught about archetypes and artistry because I think as a creative person and a sensitive person, it's really helpful to look at your chart. It's also really helpful to get clear on what are the archetypal energies that are moving through your life. Most of us know what astrology is. Most of us have an idea, at least, of what our sun sign is. Mine being my sun being in Sagittarius. Today I'm excited to talk about an artist that I absolutely love, who I found out from doing this research is also a sun in Sagittarius. They are an artist, singer, songwriter, performer, creator of an entertainment group and label called Wonderland. They are an acclaimed actor, actress, an all-around incredible creative being, and I think a real pioneer and crusader at this time for change, evolution, creativity, and personal and collective liberation, and that is the Janelle Monae. So if you're not sure what an archetype is, let's talk about it. Then we're going to talk about Janelle Monae's personal legend and the energies, the archetypal energies of that as they are on display through their music and their acting and their creativity and the personal causes and personal life that they choose to share. What is an archetype? An archetype, in the words of Carolyn Mace, is a pattern of power. If you look at the Jungian definition of archetypes, it would be a unconscious symbolic language that's both universal and specific. So an example of an archetype for someone like Janelle Monae, for someone like me, and likely for a lot of those of you who might be tuning into a channel like Sound Spirit, is that of the artist. The artist is a symbolic pattern of power, right? We all have specific associations with the word the artist, but there's an energetic, intuitive understanding of what the artist means. There's a way in which and a power in which the artist sees life, the artist moves through the world, the artist helps to co-create life with the society and the culture that they're embedded in. So that is one of the principal archetypes of Janelle Monae. They are very clearly an artist through and through. What is the deep sort of spiritual energy of the artist? The artist is somebody that is creative and generative. The artist is someone that has to go into their inner world, parse through their life experiences, and create something with that. Usually a piece of art, music, dance, language. Now, I want to say to any of the listeners that you can also have the artist archetype without necessarily being someone who creates art. So it's important to know that. I know a lot of people who have this artist archetype because they see the world through a creative lens. They relate to the world. I would say artists relate to the world in a little more of a sensual way. And you can think of that as sensual, like sexuality, that is a part of it for sure. But I think it's also this eros energy of being in deep relationship with the world, in sensual, physicalized sensation with life, with the world. And our bodies is where we not only create new life, but it's where we sort of, again, internalize and allow life to flow through us. So the archetype of the artist would be somebody too that is able to go inside and create and birth something new into the world. And when we're talking about an artist like Janelle Monae, and we look at astrology speaks really strongly in the language of archetypes. Why? Because the many different planets are representative usually of like Roman gods or goddesses, like Venus. Venus is an archetypal energy. She's the goddess of love and romance. There's an archetypal energetic language surrounded by Venus, right? So what astrology does is it looks then at where the planets were, where the heavens, how they were situated at the moment in which we entered from our mother's womb into the world of breath. We took that first breath in the outside world. So astrology is then informing us about the archetypal energies that are flowing through the cosmos at the time of our birth, that I feel into this however you want. As I experience it, that's sort of like the puzzle pieces at the beginning that we get to sort of create and construct our life with. And so these different astrological signs are representative of energies which have gender, right? There's masculine and feminine signs. Energies which have, and I don't mean physical gender when I say that, I mean energetic gendering, a feminine, divine masculine, which all beings hold within them. And then I think about the houses, right? And the degrees. And I think of the elements, right? So the fire, earth, water, and air signs, right? All spiritual traditions of most earth-based religions honor these four elements. They honor the directions, the places, and the correspondences of these things. And then we also look at the houses and what they represent in terms of themes of our lives. And we can also look at the different qualities of these signs. If they're cardinal, right? If they're initiating signs, are they mutable or are they fixed, right? When we look at Janelle Monae, they're actually born the day before me. Their birthday is December 1st, 1982. They were born in Kansas City at 12:01 a.m. So right as we moved to the month of December, Janelle Monae was born. And they are a masculine fire sign as it pertains to the sun. And the sun is also in the fourth house, which is the house that's partly represented by Gemini energy. So what I like when I look at Janelle Monae's chart, and I'm not an astrological professional. So, if you have something to add to what I'm saying, please do. I just like to look at it as an overview. I'm enthusiastic about it in my own life. And I like when I'm becoming intimate with an artist or a creator that I love, I like to know what their chart is, because I like to know, wow, I get a sense for this or that. Like I know for me as a songwriter, my Venus is in Scorpio. And I feel like my love songs come from that very Scorpio shamanic place, right? And that's also been my lived experience. And I really gravitate to artists that share that similar sort of depth and charge in their writing. And I often look for their Venus signs. So I just find it really interesting. So I'm doing this out of joy. And, So if I don't get everything perfectly, tangible, please just hold it. What I'm really looking at is the energy more so than the exact, astrological calibration. So there's a note there for that. So Janelle Monae, they are a masculine fire sign born on December 1st. And they have a moon in Gemini, which I love. I love a Gemini moon. So interesting to me because I also like this dichotomy because Janelle Monae has a lot of planets in Sagittarius. I'm not sure if they have a full stellium, but they have many planets in Sagittarius, which is this fire energy. And Sagittarius is representative of several different archetypes. One of them would be the seeker archetype, somebody who's going after meaning. The Sagittarius symbol is represented with this centaur that's shooting the arrow. The arrow to me is an arrow of seeking. It's also an arrow of truth, searching for the truth, looking to see where that arrow lands and being willing to travel to that place. Janelle Monae, they also have their Mercury in Sagittarius, which I have as well, and they have their Venus in Sagittarius. So they are very much interested in searching for deeper meaning. There's a rebel archetype and a seeker, like I said, in there. If you look at the way that they have transformed through their career, you can really feel into, again, there's a masculinity, a deep femininity in a lot of their creative expressions, but they are interested in sort of questioning the philosophies of life itself. When you look at their first full-length release, which was The Archandroid, and I believe that came out in 2008 or 2009, this is when I first became aware of Janelle Monae. They came out in a suit. To me, also, with them being a Virgo rising, I have a Virgo moon personally. Virgo is it's clean lines, it's queenliness, it's this preciseness and this perfectionism. For example, Beyonce is a Virgo. She speaks about that a lot. So with Janelle Monae coming out on the scene at the beginning of their career, they have these pristine suits on. And they described it actually as the fact that their parents were uniforms and were workers, were working class people. So they wanted to stay comfortable. They wanted to have, even though they're kind of going into these more glamorized places, they wanted to stay with the ethos of where they came from, of building, of hard work, of not getting too caught up in the game of fame and stardom, of giving their honor to their ancestors and to the idea of laboring towards a dream, right? And Janelle Monae has really also been such an inspiration in that they bring community together. If you look at the fact that they have helped build the careers of many other pioneering artists, and that's where I would say they have, I'm using these archetype cards by Carolyn Mace. I highly recommend you get the deck. They have a lot of this pioneer energy, right? Which is a passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. They are taking on some energies at the beginning of at least their public career, because how long somebody is working, especially as an artist, before you get to know who they are, it's, we think that they just appear on the scene because we think they just were born the minute that we decided that they exist. No, artists have a lot of time laboring on their own. Janelle Monae represents to me also the idea of the shapeshifter, right? Because they're embodying really powerful masculine and feminine energies all at the same time. I remember when I taught a class on archetypes and artistry, I was asking, what are the archetypes, the visual archetypes that you understand for Janelle Monae? I was asking the class, many of them said Prince. Prince, the artist, was actually one of their collaborators, right? So they've been on this Prince tip. If you look at them with their beautifully feminine face, you look at them coming out in their suits in the beginning. When you look at the video for Tightrope, this beautiful dance energy, this melding of styles. And then you look at the way that they crafted the Archandroid. You get king and queen energy in there. You get the hero heroine in there. So they're playing these characters of this android, right? Cindy, and there's Jane. There's all these, there's Sir Greendown. There's all these different characters in the Archandroid. And they based the concept of Archandroid after the movie Metropolis. If you've never seen it, it's one of the first, large scale films that's ever been made in the 20th century, early 20th century. So they were doing, I think, a very Sagittarian thing in looking at these different philosophical concepts of what does it mean to be a human through the lens of an artificial intelligence, an android intelligence. What does life mean? Playing with these apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic themes and how that's shifted throughout their album cycles and their career is so incredibly inspiring for me. I want to circle back to this artist archetype as well. And what Carolyn May says in the card, the light attributes of the artist, expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. So while the artist is an archetype of itself, what makes the language of music, of art, of storytelling, of painting and visuals so compelling to people is that it speaks in archetypal, archaic, symbolic language. This is the way, and this is the magical process in which an artist like Janelle Monae can be singing a song about their sort of superimposed experience over this post-apocalyptic imaginary suite about the end of the world, and they are posing themselves and their personal experience through an android, and I hear it as me, and I'm like, yes, that's my life, right? Because they are using this magical process of artistry, especially to me in that shape-shifting energy, where when we think about the shapeshifter archetype, I think of the liminal space. In order to shift your shape, you have to go into the in-between. The in-between. And I want to talk about that for Janelle Monae as a midheaven in Gemini and a moon in Gemini and a sun in Sagittarius. So I like the idea. So Sagittarius and Gemini are opposites on the astrological spectrum. They are in opposition, right? They're opposites. They have different elements. They have certain things that are similar, but they are astrologically they're distant from each other, right? So it's interesting that they have this really cool conversation of Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of luck and expansion. And again, this sort of philosophical, seeking. Gemini, which is ruled by the planet of Mercury. They have a lot of fourth house placements, which also refer to the Gemini and Mercurial energy. And Mercury is this energy of, we're in Mercury retrograde now. It's looking at communication, community. Janelle Monae, to me, especially with her creation of Wonderland, has that networker archetype. They are always bringing artists and worlds together. One thing I've always loved about their projects is there's always a spirit of collaboration. So they are an artist that seeks to bring other people into their vision and get their best performances to coalesce this vision of community and networking and connectivity. And within that, I believe is an alchemical process. We get this beautiful, incredible richness from the way that they, as an artist, and their own sort of field of artistry, the way that they bring people into it, it creates something bigger than them. And the card for Shapeshifter says the skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness. And to me, that's a very Sagittarian thing, because Sagittarius is, again, always looking at the meaning, the meaning for something, right? And so Janelle Monae is deconstructing through the lens. She's deconstructing life and systems. And she's not overtly in the beginning talking about everything. They're not overtly in the beginning talking about everything they think or feel. When they're coming out in the beginning, they're veiling a lot of their own truths that, again, are obvious in the work, but they're not coming out and saying it. They're still in a space of exploration. What do these systems mean? What is consciousness? When I think of Janelle Monae, I look at these polarities in their chart, and I think about the idea that somewhere in between this air and this fire, this Gemini, this Sagittarius energy is the person anchored in some of these other energies. And so by being fully themselves in the world, are challenging us to deprogram. Like an android might be programmed, we're deprogramming. And it's really interesting to me with their latest album release in 2018, Dirty Computer. So in the beginning, they're this archandroid, right? And now we're talking about dirty computer. So we're getting into the good, gushy stuff. In the beginning, they're kind of trapped inside this archandroid. And then they get to come out and they get to challenge all of us to do the same, right? Avenger, desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society and oneself. So in Dirty Computer, there's a lot of references to femming the future. There's a lot of references to Mother Earth and the feminine. And the feminine, again, as it's not just relegated to a gender, as it's relegated to a very powerful energy in the earth and in all human beings. We have, I feel, the advocate archetype with Janelle Monae inspires you to put compassion into action. In them coming out, again, as pansexual, they are giving us permission through their unabashedness of being themselves and being revolutionary to say, where am I not being willing to be all the way out and myself? How can I be more of that? And how can I create spaces for others to be more of who they are and know that they're safe and loved? So I see the rebel as well here. Challenges authority to affect social change. Absolutely, absolutely. And the warrior, because it takes a strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will. So being a warrior and developing your warrior spirit is one that is important in the long road of change. And I really believe with the way that they, as an artist, sort of set up their personal mythology through their work, through their advocacy, through, again, their community building with Wonderland and all the different collaborations with other revolutionary artists, they have created a space for there to be a long-term shift, right? Some other aspects I love about the archetypal energy of Dirty Computer is, and this is interesting because I think in the beginning, when Janelle Monae first came out on the scene, a lot of people were like, what's this person about? Who are they dating? Who are they loving? Because they didn't really let us all the way in. And I think that that might have been calculated, because if you think about when they came on the scene, 2008, 2009, I think is when, 2008 or 2007 is when Arcandroid came out. When they first came out on the scene, the consciousness was not lifted enough for us to be having this conversation. You really need to look at how, thinking about the conversation around trans issues, trans women, about gender binary. That's been in the past maybe 5 years we've been actually able to talk about that. Me Too didn't happen until 2017. Everything that's happening now in 2020, raising the question again of protecting Black people, of Black people being liberated. And in a sense, all of us having to go through the process of liberation from a system, a binary system, Black, white, woman, man, rich, poor, right? We are made responsible for that. In 2018, on the heels of a lot of that change, they come out with Dirty Computer. They're seen publicly with a woman partner, a woman identifying partner. They are happy, thriving, and moving through. And the songs, the sexual songs, the sensual songs, that Venus in Sagittarius is like, I want variety. And Venus in Sagittarius is also, again, that conventional thinking. Well, why do I have to be one thing? Why do I have to love one kind of person? Why does my body say why does my physical body demand that I have to be this certain way? Why do I have to love? Venus in Sagittarius, I am absolutely not surprised that Venus in Sagittarius on such a revolutionary human like Janelle Monae would absolutely be pansexual. Absolutely be pansexual. They have so many masculine energies in their chart. They have, and the masculine fire energy is in the Venus, right? And again, it's challenging convention, and it's challenging belief systems and meanings, right? So I love that in Dirty Computer, we get to see Janelle Monae both as Don Juan and femme fatale. And one of the major archetypes that I absolutely adore for the artist is the Lover Archetype. Because I like I said, I feel like as a part of the creative process, because it requires birth, it requires consummation of certain elements of ourselves. There's a sexual energy to creativity. So every artist has that. That's part of the mystique of the artist, is that they're carrying openly and creating with the sexual energy that lives in everybody, that oftentimes in our society is relegated to one aspect of life, whereas the artist and the lover coalesce into every part of the being. With their song Pink, they go deep into sensuality, where they're both, again, they're pursuing and being pursued. They're the Don Juan and they're the femme fatale, and they're just the lover, just going for it. And I just adore it. I adore those energies in their work and how they express them. So again, with that Virgo rising, with precision, beauty, sensuality, perfectionism, but not as to take away the aliveness of it. And I also like too that when I think of like the song Screwed that they do with Zoe Kravitz, let's get screwed, I don't care, we'll pour water in your guns, we do it just for fun. You think the world's fucked up now, or you fuck the world up now, we'll fuck it right back down. I see that as the hedonist energy, which I love, inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life. So celebrates beauty even in the face of apocalypse and destruction. And then there's the trickster energy. Again, we'll pour water in your guns, right? you fuck the world up now, we gotta fuck it right back down. Ask, what is it? Everything is sex and sex is power. Ask yourself who's fucking you, right? That's in the lyrics of their song called Screwed on Dirty Computer. That's the trickster energy, transcending convention, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. So through the artist archetype, they're suggesting that liberation is tricky, it's sexual, it's creative, it's messy, that even apocalypse, the ending of one world, within that is the birthing of a new one. You know, again, going beyond binaries, going beyond societal systems, going beyond expectation. And there's so much, again, in their chart that's ripe for that. There's so much in the way they've built community, the way that they've unveiled to the public who they really are through their work and through their actions. And I always love to celebrate Janelle Monae, because there's very few artists right now who are as intentional and unconventional and masterfully artistic and talented as they are. So this is sort of like, I could talk about Janelle Monae for several hours. I could go into all the different, specific archetypal energies, but I think this is a little overview of what we're looking at when we're thinking about archetypes. And I hope that you start to see the universal energies and archetypal languages within your own personal legend. And when you could even, I would say, look at the artists that you gravitate to the most. I know why I gravitate to Janelle Monae. I know why I always have. I actually have a lot of the same belief systems and ideas as they do. And they're born the day before me. That's a cool thing too. When you look up the astrology of a lot of the artists you like, looking at their signs, looking at their the heavenly archetypes, and then looking at the archetypes that they've chosen to embody through their work. I hope this video sparked your creativity. And again, invite the artist within you or within the world around you to to gently accompany you as you question, why am I doing what I'm doing? Who am I really? And what do I want to create with this beautiful rest of my life? Right? So thank you. If you enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe. Every Thursday, I'm hosting community conversation on Zoom for visioning, for conversation, for community building. July 12th, I'm teaching a class at Sound Spirit called Self-Care for Creatives. And on July 26th, I'll be accompanied by Jessie Kale for part 2 of Self-Care for Creatives. All the links to all the things I talked about are in the description. Enjoy it.